They thought her pool was their playground. She turned it into their worst nightmare. Swimming in her pool was free. The souvenir that came with it, priceless. Sarah Chen stood at her kitchen window, gripping her morning coffee mug so tightly her knuckles turned white. The scene before her was becoming all too familiar pool toys she'd never bought floating aimlessly in her once pristine pool, empty soda cans and chip bags scattered across her meticulously maintained deck, and damp towels abandoned on her lawn furniture. This was the third time this month she'd woken up to the aftermath of a midnight pool party she never authorized. The security camera footage told the same story it always did. Local teenagers scaling her fence under cover of darkness, treating her backyard oasis like their personal water park while she was away at work. She'd invested 15 years climbing the corporate ladder as a software engineer to afford this house with its beautiful pool, her reward for countless late nights and missed weekends. Now it had become a source of constant frustration and mounting anger. Sarah had tried everything the right way. She'd filed reports with the local police, who dismissed her concerns as minor trespassing and suggested she install better lighting. She'd attempted to contact parents after recognizing some of the teens from her neighborhood, only to be met with eye rolls and comments about how she should be flattered that their kids found her pool so inviting. The neighborhood Facebook group had been no help either. Her post about the trespassing had sparked a heated debate, with some parents actually defending their children's actions, suggesting she should share her blessings or remember what it's like to be young. The final straw came when she overheard one of the teens' mothers at the local coffee shop bragging about how her daughter knew the best house for midnight swimming. That evening, Sarah sat in her home office, the blue light from her dual monitors casting shadows across her determined face. As a senior software engineer, she was used to tackling complex problems with methodical precision. Now she applied that same analytical mindset to her pool situation, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she dove deep into research. Her first browser window filled with tabs about legal precedents and home defense laws. She needed to be absolutely certain that any action she took wouldn't leave her vulnerable to lawsuits. She carefully documented local ordinances about pool safety, property protection, and the use of deterrents. Her notepad quickly filled with relevant statutes and limitations. The second monitor displayed research about various security solutions. Motion-activated sprinklers caught her attention, harmless but effective. She found herself particularly intrigued by specialized pool products, including ones used by water parks and public facilities. That's when she stumbled across an article about non-toxic water dyes used in fountain displays. A slow smile spread across her face as she read about a particular dye that remained invisible in water but reacted with skin proteins when dry, creating a temporary but unmistakable color change. The effect would last several days but wasn't permanent and caused no harm, perfect for her needs. Best of all, it was completely legal, as similar products were used in forensics to identify people who had handled certain materials. Sarah created a detailed spreadsheet breaking down her plan into phases. Column A listed all the equipment she'd need: new high-resolution security cameras with night vision, motion-activated LED floodlights, the special dye, and warning signs. Column B contained pricing, while Column C tracked delivery dates. She even included a risk assessment matrix, evaluating potential outcomes and legal considerations. Opening her work calendar, she blocked off next Wednesday for home maintenance. She needed a full day to set everything up properly. As she placed her orders, carefully using different suppliers to ensure everything would arrive discreetly, she felt a surge of satisfaction. The total came to just under $900, a small price to pay for peace of mind and justice. Finally, she created a detailed installation plan, mapping out exactly where each camera and light would go for maximum coverage. She even sketched a diagram of her yard, marking the optimal positions for new warning signs that would protect her legally while being clearly visible to any potential trespassers. As midnight approached, Sarah sat back in her chair, reviewing her plans one final time. Everything was legal, safe, and thoroughly documented. She'd found a solution that wouldn't harm anyone, but would certainly teach them a memorable lesson about respecting private property. For the first time since the intrusions began, she felt completely in control of the situation. Now, all she had to do was wait for her supplies to arrive and put her plan into action. Sarah approached the trap-setting day with the same precision she used when deploying critical software updates. She started early Wednesday morning, her supplies neatly arranged on her patio table like a surgeon's instruments. The new security system had cost a small fortune, but she knew quality equipment would be crucial for her plan's success. First came the camera installation. She positioned 4 high-resolution cameras with night vision capabilities at strategic points, 1 directly overlooking the pool, 2 covering the fence lines where the teens usually entered, and 1 with a wide-angle view of the entire backyard. She carefully ran the wiring through protective conduit, ensuring it was hidden and weather protected. Each camera was connected to her home's secure network, feeding directly to both cloud storage and her personal server. She wasn't taking any chances on missing footage. The floodlights were next. She installed 3 industrial-grade LED arrays, powerful enough to turn night into day instantly. She tested their motion sensors repeatedly, adjusting the sensitivity until they triggered at just the right moment, when someone reached the top of her fence. The sudden illumination would serve 2 purposes: startling the intruders and ensuring crystal clear video evidence. The pool preparation required the most delicate touch. Sarah tested the pH levels first. The dye would only work properly within a specific range. She carefully measured the special compound, double-checking her calculations. The dye was expensive, but its properties were remarkable. Invisible in water, but designed to react with skin proteins once it dried, creating a vibrant purple stain that would last exactly 72 hours. She distributed it evenly throughout the pool, watching as it disappeared completely into the crystal clear water. Next came the warning signs. She placed them strategically around the property, making sure they were impossible to miss. No trespassing, private property, violators will be prosecuted in bold red letters. She photographed each sign's placement for her records, further legal protection if needed. Finally, she set up her monitoring station in the home office. She installed a new app on her phone that would alert her to any pool activity and positioned her laptop for optimal viewing of all camera feeds. She even prepared a detailed log to document any intrusions, complete with timestamps and snapshots, evidence that might prove useful later. She stood at her back window, surveying her work with satisfaction. To any observer, the pool looked exactly the same, invitingly cool and crystal clear. Only she knew about the special surprise waiting for the next group of trespassers. Now all she had to do was wait for the weekend, when the teens typically made their midnight visits. As she locked up for the night, Sarah felt a mix of anticipation and vindication. She hadn't just set a trap. She'd created a foolproof system for teaching a lesson about respecting private property. The best part? Everything was completely legal and harmless, except perhaps to the trespasser's dignity. Let me dive into a detailed expansion of the climactic final part. Friday night descended on the neighborhood with unusual stillness. Sarah sat in her darkened home office, the soft glow of her monitors illuminating her face as she monitored the security camera feeds. She'd prepared for this moment meticulously, a fresh pot of coffee on her desk, her phone's camera ready to document everything, and all systems double-checked and running perfectly. At precisely 11:43 p.m., the first movement caught her attention. A flashlight beam bounced off her fence, followed by the appearance of a teenage boy, Jake Thompson. She recognized him as the ringleader from previous footage. He tested the fence boards with practiced familiarity, then hoisted himself up with the confidence of someone who'd done this many times before. Within minutes, 5 more teenagers joined him, their whispered excitement carrying clearly through her high-quality audio feeds. Sarah watched with growing anticipation as they set up their usual party supplies. Towels were tossed onto her deck chairs, phones were stashed in safe spots, and pool floats were quietly inflated. They moved with the entitled ease of people who considered her property their personal playground. The irony that they'd brought their own towels, evidence that would soon be dyed purple, wasn't lost on her. The first splash came at 11:52 p.m. One by one, they slipped into the crystal clear water, completely oblivious to the invisible compound now clinging to their skin. Sarah's finger hovered over her keyboard, waiting until all 6 were fully engaged in their midnight swim. Some were doing handstands, others were having splash fights, maximizing their exposure to the treated water. It was almost too perfect. At exactly midnight, when they were at their most relaxed, Sarah activated the floodlights. The effect was instantaneous and dramatic. The backyard erupted in brilliant white light, transforming night into day in a split second. The teens' reactions were priceless. A chorus of startled yelps and panicked splashing as they scrambled to escape what they thought was a simple security system. In their frantic rush to flee, they made every mistake Sarah had anticipated. They grabbed their belongings without drying off, ensuring the dye would fully activate. They pulled their clothes on over wet skin, guaranteeing that even their outfits would bear evidence of their trespassing. The entire evacuation took less than 2 minutes, leaving behind only ripples in the pool and a few dropped items. The following Monday morning, Sarah's phone buzzed constantly with notifications from the neighborhood Facebook group. Photos and comments flooded in about the mysterious case of the purple teenagers. 6 kids had shown up to school sporting distinctly violet-tinted skin, with no plausible explanation for their matching condition. The dye had done its work perfectly, creating an unmistakable but completely harmless marking that no amount of scrubbing would remove for the next 3 days. More satisfying than the immediate aftermath was the long-term effect. Word spread quickly through the teenage grapevine about the purple pool lady. Sarah noticed groups of kids walking past her house, pointing and whispering, giving her property a wide berth. Her pool remained untouched through the rest of the summer, and she even overheard one of the former trespassers warning a new kid in the neighborhood. "Don't even think about it. That pool is cursed." Sarah never revealed her role in the incident publicly, though she did mail copies of the security footage to the parents of each purple-tinted teen, along with a polite note about respecting private property. She kept the dye in her pool for the rest of the summer, just in case, but didn't need to use it again. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just about getting even, it's about creating a legend that prevents future problems.